Hi and welcome to Eczema Phoenix, where we learn how to transform the way we live with eczema. My name is TeresaAlabata and I am going to film part 2 of my Spiderbite saga. Sorry, the other video ran out of, my phone ran out of battery at the end. So now I'm gonna finish it off and then I'm gonna have another video after this on how I healed from all the symptoms of my spider bite and the infection that it caused in the next video. I'm gonna go week by week and kind of like method by method, or like different things that I started to add to my lifestyle and my diet to help accelerate the healing process. So now to finish off all the things I went through with spider bite, I think I left off around week 3 or week 4, which was like the end of January of this year, 2019. And yeah, starting to become more like less pustules, more blisters. They look, and this whole time these bumps that were popping up, whether pustules or blisters, looked very much like ulcers. When I would research the symptoms and how they looked and everything, they resembled like the similar sort of blisters and skin ulcers that you might get with herpes, like the herpes virus that affects like the mouth area. And well, you know, I know that I was solo traveling for a year and I had options, but I didn't take any of them. So I knew that, you know, it was very unlikely that I had anything like viral going on that could have been from an exchange of fluids with another person, because I just wasn't doing any of that. I was just like doing me by myself and only making platonic friends, and that's it. So, you know, at least there was like less variables and factors to worry about. You know, it was very unlikely that I caught anything from any other traveler in that sort of way. But I was living in all sorts of houses and meeting all kinds of people from all over the world. So, I mean, who knows? And I was in Bali, Ubud specifically, where a lot of people from all over the world come to kind of have like another Silicon Valley experience. A lot of digital nomads and entrepreneurs and self-employed people, bloggers, social media influencers like to go to Bali because it's beautiful and cheap. And so yeah, you know, you never know, especially in terms of like sanitation and just, you know, how hygienic were things really kept, you know, in terms of like toilets and cutlery and other things where, you know, sweat and other things could have been left and transmitted through contact. Oh my. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, who knows, but yeah, the blisters would just come and crust over in a very like honey-like color. Yeah, the crust, which I assume is like the lymph fluid drying up as it was coming to the surface, was very dark. I mean, it was like a honey color, but like deep dark. Sometimes it was like an orangey yellow color, you know, maybe like a cinnamon golden kind of color, but never any darker than that, luckily. It still felt very tender and very painful. Reliving it again. And anytime I had any food that was fried or high in fat, like nuts, seeds, sometimes if I had too much avocado in a day, or even like coconut meat as a snack, or, you know, coconut chips, potato chips, even things like that. Anything with a lot of oil content would make the oozing and the crusting happen more. Oh my god, yeah, it was really gross. Really painful. You know, I could have like one day where the majority of my face was clear, and if I had food like that within 1 to 2 days, sore, like weeping, oozy sores that crusted over again. I would look worse again. It was just kind of such a balancing act, and trying to stay healthy but live a little, recover, and also test my limits to see how much like my immunity and my digestion was improving, you know, because the majority of the time I was eating very healthy and, you know, lots of greens and things like that. I forget if I mentioned. Oh yeah, actually no. I'll save that for the how I healed it video. Yes. So eventually, I just had to realize that I was not going to be able to continue my solo travels in this state. Too much pain, too exhausting to keep reserving new Airbnbs, reintroducing myself to new people, packing and unpacking over and over again. To solo travel and then to do it over an extended period of time, which to me is like over a week or at least, over a month or something like that, is just a lot of adjusting, a lot of adapting, and not really being able to fully relax and settle. And that is, that's stressful, and that does affect the immune system to a degree as well. And so I booked a ticket back to the US, flew back to California, to San Francisco the first week of February. And when I made that decision, the Chinese doctor I was seeing in Auckland, New Zealand, said that would be a great idea, not only because you're going home and you're going to be able to settle and relax, but the weather in San Francisco is much drier, and because my symptoms and the Spiderbite infection happened in a tropical environment, which is hot and humid, very moist, very hot, very heavy, that going to a colder and drier climate like my home in San Francisco, ironically, would be absolutely perfect and help me heal a lot faster. And I did notice a difference immediately. It was when I landed first week of February, so relieving to feel cold again. I just was so grateful to feel coldness, and it was comforting. It wasn't in a way where I was shivering and unhappy and couldn't relax. It actually calmed me down in terms of like my nerves and my skin. I did see that the blisters and any pustules that were left were drying up very quickly already, and so that was just like a lot less to deal with, which is nice. I started to notice that the blisters were starting to just become scabs, or would scab over a lot faster and dry up a lot faster, which meant I was peeling and healing also a lot faster. My healing and the symptoms definitely like calmed down at an accelerated rate, and that was kind of bittersweet because I really loved being in New Zealand, but it is a small island surrounded by a lot of water, so comparatively it's at least the North Island is still pretty humid and slightly tropical, like almost like subtropical, I guess would be how you describe the climate and the temperature there. South Island might have worked in terms of the weather because it is much drier there, but culturally I prefer the North Island because it is more multicultural, and I just felt a little bit more at ease there. Not to say that the South Island was horrible. I think being a foreigner and in a they were just very hospitable to me, even though there's a certain level of racism that is there, which seems to just be in every country to a degree. There's that. And so at this point, actually I think probably mid to the last week of February, I was like totally in the clear. You wouldn't have been able to tell that I ever had anything going on. All of the things that I wrote on my Facebook posts would seem like just a fantasy or some really horrible nightmare that I made up. And it's a good thing I did take photos of the healing process, because otherwise the magnitude and extent of how it affected me and where it affected me would not have been understood by my friends and family. And I'll leave a link to my Instagram, to some Instagram photos that I shared on my Eczema Phoenix account to illustrate how it all looked. It was severe. And so, so I cleared up all the way last month in February. It was great for a couple of weeks. And now, in terms of my symptoms, I'm sure you could see there is like a slight blister there that's scabbed over. I have a few on my forehead because I've been testing my limits. My digestion has definitely improved by all the things that I've done to my diet, the supplements, the capsules, and just other things that I've taken into my diet to help me heal faster. And so now it's March, and starting the last week of February, I've started to experiment with eating like more foods, still avoiding nuts, but testing out things like sunflower seed butter, and you know, just like having more avocado and kind of like stir fries. I'm not trying to have a high fat diet, but you know, old habits die hard, and I've been used to eating a certain way for a while, and I'm, you know, needing to experiment with cooking with water more, less oil, more seasonings, salt, and things like that, more dried kind of flavorings, and not to be too dependent on on oil to add flavor and texture to my food. So that's a new healthy habit that I'm developing, and I'm grateful for that because, you know, it's a good thing to do anyway, regardless of my condition or my state of health. So it's been really fun experimenting in the kitchen, actually, and I've still been able to create a lot of really delicious dishes. I would also say that I'm still avoiding sugar for the most part. There are certain kind of like raw, like chocolate, cacao desserts, you know, in bars or like pies, cakes and things like that I also have occasionally, but very little, because if I have too much cane sugar, even if it's organic, even if it's brown, it will create cracks around my mouth, so I know that's not a good thing. It's, you know, destroying my skin barrier, so cane sugar is sucking hard right now in my life. But I've also been experimenting with other sweeteners, like xylitol has been great, though it does make me a little bit constipated if I have too many things with it, but not a big deal. Medjool dates, soaking them and blending them to create a kind of like a sweet sauce to sweeten things and bake with, which has actually worked out fairly well too. Monk fruit, powdered monk fruit as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I have a few things, but you know, they're so like tiny and flat that I'm not worried, and I know that when I, you know, stick to a clean diet, have more fruits and veggies, and have some of the other things I'll mention in my next video about how I healed, that it just like goes away and peels within a day or two again. So it's like so manageable right now. I think the weather helps. I also recently got a gel manicure, and this is hollow. It's so much better in person, I think. I don't know how this is going to show up like online, but you know, they are now bulletproof, so even if I do feel itchy in some kind of way, there's no way it can break the skin. And it's you know, thank God for technology in that way. I feel like I have like the strength of car polish on my nails, and I could bite them and chew them, you know, if I wanted or anything like that, and they would still stay smooth. So grateful for healing, happy I made it. I am actually happy to be home, even though I had at one point considered immigrating to New Zealand, just like go straight into it and become a resident, hopefully. But clearly that was not in the stars. I am grateful to be home. I'm grateful to have reunited with my friends and family. And I'm super grateful to have a steady, stable home base again, and to not have to reintroduce myself to all sorts of people every week or every couple weeks. Still like meeting new people, but it's kind of nice to be around the familiar too. So yeah, I'm grateful for all the friends I made, particularly ones from Germany during my last month in Auckland, New Zealand. I met a lot of great German women who were just like super cool and solid and accepting of me even in my painful state. Thank you for being there for me and like give me rides to places and hanging out and having cool deep conversations. That was pretty awesome. All right, so yeah, I think that's all the symptoms I could think of for now. Oh well, no, there were some other things. So going back to the first week of January, first or second week of January, when I first started to take Chinese herbs for my skin, because there was so much dampness and infected like remnants from my white blood cells fighting the infection and the bad bacteria that was in my body, there's just yeah, just like all the pus, right? So I was, you know, damp in Chinese medicine, real juicy pustules coming out everywhere, and needed to dry it out. But a sort of side effect of that was becoming a bit constipated the first 3 weeks on the Chinese herbs, but by the fourth day it kind of like regulated, and my bowels have been very regular ever since, which is always good. I forget if I mentioned I felt very nauseous as well. Nausea was big. I luckily didn't vomit, but I felt very close to it, and my appetite was almost like non-existent. And that's very scary for me because I love food. I absolutely love food. I love making it. I love eating it. I love looking at it. I love touching it and smelling it. It's just like a full body experience for me. So that was freaky. That was freaky for the first couple weeks, I think. Maybe just one, but it felt like a long time at the time. Yeah, and brain fog, inability to focus and concentrate or be productive, and feeling so exhausted. Which, and this was actually something that was already beginning in December, like a week after the Spiderbite, in the second week of December, 2018. I would just get so exhausted that I would only be able to be up for maybe 4 or 5 hours, maybe get one productive work-related thing done, and then just eat and go to sleep. And there were many times while I was in Bali, before I realized what was going on with me with the spider bite and my skin, and my immune system, I mean, where I sometimes just had one meal a day because that's all I felt like stomaching, and I was just like feeling too exhausted to, you know, get at least 2 meals a day, which is what I usually do, like 2 really big meals and maybe some snacks in between. So yeah, it was really freaky. I honestly felt like I had moments where I felt like so depressed from the pain, and that I felt so much pain that I thought I was just gonna like die. I was never gonna give up the fight, but you know, it really weakened me. I really wish I could have seen what actually bit me. You know, if only it wasn't nighttime, if only there wasn't a power outage and it was like pitch dark. Yeah, I didn't see anything around me or near me. I still don't really know exactly what bit me, but just because there were 2 fang marks, I'm pretty confident it was a spider of a sort, and apparently like a really potent one, or maybe it's just because it was another country. My body like had such a strong toxic reaction to it. I have yet to find out, but I know I'm getting healthier. I know I'm more productive. I'm getting a lot done, and things are looking up in my life in all aspects. So either way, I'm healing. Grateful for that. Thankful for my immune system. Thankful for health, information, the internet, Chinese medicine, herbs, fruit and vegetables, friends and prayer or intention. I'm not a very religious person, though I was raised Catholic. I'm more spiritual, but yeah, the power of prayer and like getting multiple people to root for you and to pray for you is very powerful. Also, if you believe in spirit guides, guardian angels, the masters of the universe, you know, the ancestral protection and guidance, I prayed for all of it. And I'm happy to be here and share my experience, and hopefully will help you or someone you know too who may or is going through this. Know there is always a way out if you seek it. And yeah, there is always hope. There is, even when you hit rock bottom. So thank you so much for watching. Hope this is helpful, informative, interesting, useful. Please like if you like this video. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more. Comment if you have any questions or requests for other videos that you'd like to see around eczema or health, immunity, and things like that. I'd be happy to share what I know to the extent that I know at this time. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.